We've already blown past the 1.5°C climate target, and the consequences are terrifying. That's the stark warning from UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, who says humanity has failed to limit global heating and must act now to avoid irreversible catastrophe. In a candid interview ahead of next month's COP30 climate summit, Guterres didn't mince words. The world is on track to overshoot the Paris Agreement's 1.5°C goal, with devastating consequences for ecosystems like the Amazon, Arctic, and coral reefs. But here's where it gets controversial. While Guterres calls for urgent action, fewer than a third of nations have submitted meaningful climate plans, and major emitters like China and the US are falling short. Is it too late, or can we still turn the tide? Guterres emphasizes that every delay in cutting emissions increases the risk of hitting catastrophic tipping points, irreversible changes that could transform the Amazon into a savanna or melt Greenland's ice sheets. At COP30, he says, the priority is clear: dramatically slash emissions to minimize the overshoot and its intensity. But this is the part most people miss. Even if we temporarily exceed 1.5°C, we might still bring temperatures back down by the end of the century, but only if we act decisively now. The past decade has been the hottest on record, yet government commitments remain woefully inadequate. Only 62 out of 197 nations have submitted climate action plans, NDCs, and even those fall far short of the 60% emissions reduction needed to stay within 1.5°C. Guterres doesn't sugarcoat it. Overshooting is now inevitable. Yet he remains cautiously optimistic, urging leaders to rebalance power at COP30 by amplifying Indigenous voices, who he calls the best guardians of nature. Should corporations' influence at climate talks be curbed in favor of Indigenous communities? Guterres also highlights the economic self-interest in transitioning away from fossil fuels, pointing to the unstoppable rise of renewables. But here's the kicker: he hasn't yet confronted Brazilian President Lula da Silva about his government's recent approval of oil exploration near the Amazon. Is this a missed opportunity, or a strategic move for COP30? Brazil's Tropical Forests Forever facility, aiming to raise $125 billion for forest protection, is a step in the right direction, with 20% of funds going directly to Indigenous communities. Yet, Guterres stresses that Indigenous knowledge must guide global climate efforts. Can world leaders truly learn from Indigenous peoples, or is this just lip service? As Guterres nears the end of his term, he reflects on his regret for not prioritizing climate action sooner. His parting message: I will never give up on protecting our Mother Nature. But the question remains, will the world listen before it's too late? What do you think? Is humanity doomed to fail, or can we still avert the worst? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's spark a debate.